Tiny ones.
Hi, I'm here with Audrey today and we're going to create a lovely little spool, and we're going to show you the process on how to construct the spool, and this is roughly the size we're going to make. You can actually add an eyelet to the top of it. You don't need to do that to both sides, just the top, so that it stands nicely. But we're not going to set an eyelet today, we're just going to show you the basic construction on how to put a spool together. So I'll put this aside. The first thing that you need is a piece of the board that comes in the spool kit, and I've cut this one in half. This is the smaller of the two strips that are provided. You'll also need some of the round discs of chipboard. You'll need 4 for this project. We're going to cover 2 together like this, and we're going to glue the other 2 together. So we're going to cover both of these, but we'll need to glue those first, and I've prepared one earlier. So it's a simple matter of just covering that disc, and you do that twice. The next stage will be glue that onto some contrasting paper, and then I'm going to cut around that. I might just get Audrey to cut around that for me, so I'll get Audrey to cut that out for me, and then I'll move on to the next stage. Audrey's just pointed out that when you actually glue these together, you want to put the sharp edges together and have the rounded edges on the outside.
Like a hamburger.
Yeah, like a hamburger, which is a great description. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need a couple of elastic bands too. They don't come in the kit, but just go and get yourself a couple of those. Okay, so let's see. Audrey's going to cut out the... Thanks, Audrey. And just use a craft knife, and then you can sand it with a sander. So once you've got your card cut out, we're going to now shape it, and I've actually just almost got a slight curve, and all I've done is just rolled it through my fingers. I will point out at this stage we're actually doing this upside down because I've set the cam up so it's not in our way. So I'm just curving the paper ever so gently with my fingers, and then I'm going to roll it up. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. I think Audrey's actually finished her circle disc and is now cutting around the edges with a sander. I'm just going to roll this up, and I want to show you that you don't need to have tons and tons of it rolled up. So I just want to show you the end. You don't really need to go much more than that. Now, if you're going to set an eyelet in the top of your piece, you've got to keep in mind that if you roll this too tightly and you don't have enough room inside here, when you go and place that disc on the top, the eyelet's going to get in the way, because you don't need to set the eyelet, we'll just glue that in place. Okay, so you've got to this stage now, you've rolled that up, you've got this nice soft roll. All you need to do now is put a bit of glue on here, like a cigarette.
Try and keep it round.
And keep it round, and keep it also even on both sides. So I'll just get some glue. Put some glue there. And I like to run my fingertips around it. And I'll put some elastic bands around. Thanks, Audrey. Audrey's got my elastic bands prepped for me. How cute is that? Thank you. Okay, there you go. So now we've got that part finished. All we need to do to this, once the glue dries, is cover it with paper. And I've got one that's been prepared earlier. It's actually in a different colour. This one is with the postal paper, so it's just covered. All you need to do is roughly cut the right length and then just glue that on. You don't need to wrap it round and around, just enough to join it. And then the next stage, all we're going to do now is we're just going to glue the top to the tube area. Audrey's just going to ink the disc first. So now I'm just going to move on, once this is dry. All the noise you can hear in the background, actually, that's That's a sample day going on. We're in a mini class. Sorry about the noise.
It's a play day.
It is a play day. We're actually down at Scrapbook Central, and it's the day after WA Create, so we're having a bit of fun here. Okay, now we've got that inked. Audrey's just going to show you how to ink the edges. Thanks, Audrey. Now you don't need to cover both sides, but you can if you want to. But for this instance, we'll just ink it for now. So hopefully this is dry, and I'll take the elastic bands off. And now I'm just going to proceed to cover it with some paper. And I'm just going to use one of the papers out of the extras that are new from collections. So just determine what area you want and then just add some glue to your piece. I like to use PVA glue. I find that's probably the best thing. So I'll put a bit of glue on and then I'll spread a bit to make it tacky. And I'll check where the paper is and I'll just start. Now I'm just going to roll that. You can pre-do this if you want to. And then now I've got the actual width of it. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece off. I'll measure it again just to see exactly where I want to cut it. So I've got enough of an overlap. So I think that's about as much as I want. And again, it's a similar process of rolling a cigarette. Not a joint, a cigarette. Sorry.
It's going to go all over the world.
I know this is going to go all over the world, but this is true. There are people out there that know how to do this.
Yes.
And I know how to do this because I smoked when I was a child.
Joints?
No, cigarettes. Thanks, Audrey. Okay.
Just wanted to clarify that.
All right then, now here we go. We've got that covered. Just make sure that the top and bottom are completely flat. And if you're new to this and you haven't got it completely flat, just go ahead with your sander. And then just sand off the edges. Don't get too worried about your roll not being perfectly cylindrical. As long as it's got a nice rounded shape, it should be good. Okay, so the next step is gluing it to an end. Now the best way to do this is take your PVA glue, pop the glue on top, make it tacky, and I tip it up so I can look down on the piece. So I'll let that glue just for a minute and then I'll try to show you on an angle because we've got the camera placed straight down. So you can see, just give it a bit of a movement there. Okay, so now we've got that glued in place. And believe me, PVA will hold that. It's very, very strong. So when you go to do the other side, with the other one, don't try just to eyeball it and glue it on top. Do turn it over and then glue it in that fashion again. You get a better look at it and you can locate it better and line it up. So I think I need another disc. So I think Audrey's made one for me in the background. Or is she making one for herself?